And honestly, you can make the field's pH, you can change it by adding pine needles, which makes it more acidic, and also compost can help with that. And you can actually go and have your soil tested, generally at garden stores, or I believe they also sell kits so that you can test your soil. And you also have to take into account cross-pollination, because it's often very important. Certain trees have to be cross-pollinated with bees. Sometimes, like pear trees, can often just kind of stand on their own and they're fine. So that's something you really have to research before you start planting to make sure that your trees are compatible. You also have to take into account that these trees will have to be pruned once a year, usually during the winter. The limbs have to be cleaned and shaped, which is obviously much easier with a dwarf tree because it's smaller, so you're not having to prune this really large tree. And then, of course, a major issue is the protection of your plant. You actually can buy disease-resistant plants nowadays, so that would be something to possibly look into so that you wouldn't have to worry so much about certain blights coming and destroying your tree. You also have to protect them against animals like deer, which we have a problem with, which is another reason why I'm suggesting planting them out here, because they are between they would be between these two houses, and so we generally have less deer in this area, and the dogs tend to keep them away. I did see one recommendation that you could take an egg and put it into a gallon of water and spray it on the trees, and that tends to keep the deer away. It's also sometimes a good idea to think about putting up a fence. Now, Gary has mentioned before that he's had issues with Japanese beetles, so I did a little bit of research about that. And honestly, there's not a real solution for killing them right now. The one main kind of pesticide that they recommend using was milky spore, which is a bacteria which you sprinkle it on the ground and it kills the grubs that are the larvae that are under the ground. And it's not supposed to really affect other vegetation, it's just a bacteria that hurts them. So that can make your next year's group of beetles a little bit less extreme. Some other remedies that they recommended would be using baby powder, spreading it on the trees, which once again with smaller trees would be much easier to do. Garlic powder mixed with water was another suggestion, and with baby oil. And cayenne peppers evidently supposedly help, or even just soap and water being sprayed on the trees can sometimes keep the Japanese beetles from eating your fruit. And they also recommended sometimes planting certain plants that the beetles really don't like garlic and chive plants around the perimeter, because that kind of tends to be a barrier for those kinds of animals. But once again, with a dwarf tree, it's much easier to take care of that. Even if you were having to just manually knock the beetles off of the leaves, you could do that better with a dwarf tree rather than a semi-dwarf or a full-grown tree. John Vivian, who he wrote an article called Big Returns from Small Orchards, says that how much of the work you and your family can hope to do is really important. Remember, no matter what the weather, when the fruit is ripe, it must be picked and put under shelter within a few days, even if it's pouring rain outside. So proper planning needs to be taken in order to undertake a project like this. But if we were to really research which trees we want to have, map out the land, and test the soil, this is something that we could undertake this fall or maybe next fall, just planting a few extra trees right out there so that we could have fruit within a couple of years and for many years afterwards. Dwarf-sized trees are just really beneficial and attainable. It would make this project really easy to accomplish. So I would like to encourage you to pursue testing our soil just to see, researching which trees we might want to use and which ones could cross-pollinate easily, and to maybe map out where we would like to put these trees in the next year or so. So thank you for listening to my speech.